Hello. Hello in the back. Hi, I'm Terry Khalil. I'm the president of the Detroit Lakes League of Women Voters. Thank you all for being here on a perfect summer evening. We really appreciate the great turnout, all the candidates who are here, the members, our guests, and even the little ones in the back who I think really came for ice cream. As you've probably seen around, we've had to take some added precautions this year because of COVID, and we really appreciate people spreading out and maintaining a good social distance. I do know there are some people here who are either high risk themselves or have family members who are high risk, and I would just encourage everyone to be respectful of that. When we do start with the candidates, our technical wizard, Kevin Mitchell, right there, has these really nifty shower caps that go on the microphone. So he'll be changing those out so that all of you candidates know that you're not getting exposure from that. We will start the program at 5:40. We do have members and guests and even a candidate who is going to Zoom in. It strikes me, today is the 100th anniversary of Tennessee becoming the last state to ratify the 19th Amendment. I get really choked up because my grandmother was around then, as were many of all of ours, I think. And really, we don't have, we being the league, and especially me, we don't have that great a sense of timing. But when we put it together and realized today was the day, I think it's only fitting that we're celebrating 100 years ago, and yet we're doing it with technology that we've never used before. So even before we start, I want to thank Kevin Mitchell for, in the last 48 hours, figuring out how to do this so that one candidate who is high risk can hopefully Zoom in and speak with all of you, and that we can do this and broadcast it live via Facebook and a Zoom outlet. So I'd like to think that our foremothers would be very proud of how far we've come, but yet I want us to be mindful of how far we have to go. So I'll let you enjoy conversation, your food, the ice cream truck, because I know some of you came just for ice cream. The ice cream truck will be ready in a few minutes to give you your favorite treat. If you haven't gotten your dinner yet, go on over and visit Fork in the Road for dinner, and we'll see you back here in a few minutes. Thank you.
happened and now going forward when you guys are opening again, we're trying to reach out and be curious and typical, like whatever we can. I know that, yeah, so like ABC right now, we're working on the Shoot Start, which are the targeted newsletter, I hope that promote this and then like, we have yeah, so we are, whatever we can do, but yeah. Yeah, we do it. Yeah, it's much easier. No, it's not my chair. Everybody should come yeah, I'm making it up as we go. So much to contact.
You didn't sign up for what?
Q&A.
Oh, no. We won't make you. Take a couple. Good evening once again. Again, for those who may just be joining us, I'm Terry Khalil, president of the Detroit Lakes League. Because we have guests and members joining us on Zoom, we are starting on time, but please continue to enjoy your meal. Our first speaker tonight is not running for office. So you don't have to figure out where to put Becky Mitchell on your ballot. Becky is director of the Historical Society and the museum. And we asked her to come and speak, not only because today's the 100th anniversary of the 19th Amendment, but because there's an exhibit coming that she wants to fill you in on. Becky.
Thank you, Terry. So as Terry mentioned, and as the New York Times mentioned yesterday, today marks 100 years since the Tennessee General Assembly voted to ratify the 19th Amendment, which gave American women the right to vote and shifted the national political landscape as thoroughly as any earthquake, tornado, and tidal wave combined. By August 18th, 1920, more than a year had passed since the United States Congress voted to approve the amendment. Our own state of Minnesota was the 15th state to ratify the amendment the previous year in 1919. Today, 100 years ago, 35 of the necessary 36 states had already voted for ratification. But the women's suffrage effort had stalled. Tennessee was ratification's last viable hope for the 1920 election and possibly for the foreseeable future. The Becker County Museum is presenting two special exhibits, October 23rd to December 5th of 2020. And yes, that is over Election Day. I worked really hard to get at our state exhibit over Election Day. So the first one, A Century of Civic Engagement, presented by the League of Women Voters of Minnesota, will be moving in. This exhibit will help us on a state level to recognize and celebrate a century of activism by the League of Women Voters Minnesota, to recall our history through a lens of diversity, equity, and inclusion, to activate visitors to educate themselves and to vote, to remind visitors that democracy depends on their participation, and finally, to empower visitors to act in defense of democracy. The second exhibit is from the Smithsonian, and it's called Votes for Women, A Portrait of Persistence. And this is what this exhibit is about. It's a compelling exploration of the women's suffrage movement and its relevance to American lives today. The crusade for women's suffrage was one of the longest reform movements in American history. Between 1832 and 1920, women organized to claim their right to vote, first in the states or territories, and then through petitioning for a federal amendment to the U.S. Constitution. Based on the National Portrait Gallery exhibition of the same name, Votes for Women, seeks to expand our understanding of the suffrage movement in the United States. It explores women's political activism, the racism that challenged universal suffrage, and the ratification of the 19th Amendment that prohibits the government from denying U.S. citizens the right to vote on the basis of sex. It also addresses the suffrage movement's relevance to current voting rights and issues of America. Now, here's where we need your help. The mission of the Becker County Museum is to preserve, connect, and explore through exhibits, education, and programming. We always feel it important to present larger state and national exhibits, but then also relate them back to life here in Becker County. We invite the Detroit Lakes Women of Voters and all of you to assist us in presenting yet a third exhibit, showcasing our own Becker County story of women's suffrage and the history of voting and elections in our community. So guys, this includes you. We want your memorabilia. We want your buttons. You'll get them back. We just need to borrow them for a little while. We want pictures, artifacts, everything for this special exhibit. For more information, you can contact me at the museum or our program director, Emily Bierman, Monday through Friday from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. So let's make this a great exhibit, and thank you all for being here tonight.
Thank you, Becky. One public service announcement. Restrooms are located around back of this building, and they are unlocked. Our second speaker tonight is also not on your ballot. He's new to Detroit Lakes, and it's my pleasure to ask Amy Erickson to come up and introduce this speaker for us. Thanks, Amy.
Thank you. Don't think I'm like one of the kids and I can't go anywhere with my phone, but I made some notes. So it's my pleasure to be here tonight, and also to introduce to you our new superintendent of schools, Mark Jensen. He was formerly the high school principal at Rocori and originally from Moorhead, Minnesota. So he's practically a local. He has a wife, Mindy, and sons, Matt, Jake, and Nikolai. And Matt is actually a teacher in our district. So it has been a pleasure to have Mark here. Talk about a trial by fire. Holy cow. Has it been an interesting way to start your tenure as a superintendent. But Mark has done a fantastic job, and I would like to welcome him up here to speak to you tonight.
I'm good. Yeah, I'm good. Oh, okay. Well, first of all, I'd like to say thank you to the League of Women Voters for inviting me. This is great. What a great night. Great weather, great food, and nice opportunity. It's been difficult in this job starting, having the opportunity with the pandemic and meeting people. It's been a lot of Zoom meetings, which if you get to know me, you realize that that's just not me. I like kind of the face-to-face and the interaction. And so this has been really a great experience. Like Amy said, this is my 30th year of education. And I started out originally, like I said, from Moorhead, and wanted to, all my life, my father and both my mother was a paraprofessional or in education, and my father had the same job his entire life. He worked his way up from a mechanic to a CEO of the same company. And like I said in my interview, I learned commitment. I learned leadership from my father. I learned a passion about kids, especially special needs kids, from my mother. And it just was a natural gravity to education. I've absolutely loved my jobs that I've had with kids and in education. I believe in servant leadership. I need to give back to the community, and that's been instilled in me for a very young age. And so this was a dream job. It kind of happened really crazy. It's the only job, like I told the board, it's the only job I applied for. My parents had a lake home, big sugar bush area, and my wife and I bought it a couple of years ago. They were just getting to the point where it was pretty difficult to maintain, and we had owned the lot next to it as well. And so this was the dream that we were going to retire here, and it worked out. I couldn't have asked for a better script for it, how it worked out. And so I am thrilled to be here. We have spent many, many summers here. I feel like this is truly coming home. And yes, there is a pandemic. There is a $60 million construction, but we are doing awesome over there at the school district. We've got some amazing people that are just been putting in countless hours to making sure that we're up and ready for the fall, whatever that fall may look like. So that's a testament to just the fine folks in this community and the people that we have working for us. And I'm thrilled. I'm a very, very lucky man. I'm very passionate about what I do, and I'm very thrilled to be here. So thank you, and congratulations and good luck to all the candidates for sticking your neck out there. This is a great opportunity, and thank you.
Thank you, Mark. I appreciate you being here. I've just been told that the ice cream truck is now open for business. Let the kids go first, because you might get trampled otherwise. In the back, can you hear me? Is that Yes or higher? Louder. Okay, good. A reminder to all of the candidates to please speak directly into the microphone. All of the candidates for the legislature, the county, Detroit Lake City Council, and the Detroit Lake School Board were all invited to be here. I'm thrilled that so many of you made the journey. I'll remind the candidates to remove your mask when speaking. We are recording this event, as everyone knows, and the unedited remarks will be available on social media whenever Kevin gets them posted, which, knowing Kevin, will be about midnight tonight, probably. At the end of each group, so in other words, once all the city council candidates are done or legislative, we will take a few questions. This is not a candidate forum, however. And as to when there will be a candidate forum, we hope there will be. Exactly how we're doing it remains to be worked out. That was something we couldn't figure out till we knew who filed and what races will be competitive. This is strictly meet the candidates. So if you do have a question, we ask that it's forward-looking. It can't be personal. And we've got a microphone set up if you'll wait to be recognized again at the end of this group, each group. We're going in order, as I mentioned, of legislative, followed by county, followed by city, followed by school board. And with that, we'll start with the legislature. Senate District 2, Paul Utke is the current senator, and he is being challenged by Alan Roy. And because we do things in alphabetical order, Mr. Roy, you're up first. You'll have 3 minutes, sir. I forgot to say something. I should mention that the remarks are being timed and that the timer is Deanna Sinclair, right up here in the front. She has a time card that she'll show you when 30 seconds are left and when it's time to stop. Thanks again.
Okay. Not quite as tall as everyone around here, but Uju Ginoa, Wabishki Mayangan, Indigo, Secretary Treasurer Alan Roy, Migi Kanam Guyan Gae, Mongan do Dame, Ode Mini, Zagigning and Dunjaba, Gawaba, Biganikagish Koniganing. For those of us who don't speak Ojibwe, I'm otherwise known as White Wolf. I am also known as Secretary Treasurer Alan Roy. I'm also known as Henny's husband as well. That's my wife there. I'm from the Loon clan. I was born and raised on Strawberry Lake out on White Earth Reservation. I'm originally from this area. I went to school in Callaway Elementary, hit it all over there as well. Also went to school over at Circle of Life Academy, and I graduated from Detroit Lakes High School. And I want to thank the League of Women Voters for putting this on for all the candidates and for those folks that are watching at home. We do appreciate all the hard work that you've done. A little bit about my background is after graduating from high school, I went to college at the University of Minnesota. After I graduated from there, I joined the Army. I joined the Army and I went to officer school where I commissioned as an officer. And I went to Operation Iraqi Freedom shortly thereafter. Did a year in Iraq. 2 weeks after my first son was born, I was stationed down in Fort Hood, Texas. And it was one of the greatest honors and privileges I've ever had in my life, leading those men and those women into combat. I will say that after getting done with active duty, I went back to Minnesota. I've gone back to school, used my GI Bill, got my master's degree at the Humphrey School of Public Affairs. I got three loving children, a beautiful wife. And back in 2018, just as I was wrapping up my master's degree, I got elected to the White Earth Tribal Council. That's where I currently serve as the Secretary Treasurer. We've got about 20,000 tribal members. It's about a $250 million organization. We employ thousands of people in the area. We are, I would say, 60% pre-pandemic, I can tell you, 60% of the folks that work for the tribe up there were non-enrolled tribal members. So the way I look at things is that we work together. That's one thing the Army taught me. And that's one thing that I am focused on in this campaign. I'm not going to run anyone down. I just want to do things in a good and positive way. I do want to give thanks to Paul, Senator Uckey, for showing up tonight. He's from Park Rapids there. And I do want to thank everyone else for showing up as well. I'm happy to answer questions afterwards. And like I said, I look forward to doing things in a good way. Thank you, and miigwech.
As Senator Utke makes his way up to the front, hint, let me also just share with you that the ice cream is provided compliments of the League of Women Voters. And our good friend Beth Friday, who owns the ice cream truck and has been instrumental in making sure that we have a safe environment for everyone tonight. With that, I'll introduce Senator Paul Utke.
And interaction, whether we agree on things or those that may have a different opinion, we appreciate them all, or I appreciate them all when they come through. That's how we hopefully govern better, is to take in all sides. In the end, though, we only get to vote once. And so, whether it's a green or a red vote, you might be in favor of what we do, and then again, you might wish we'd done something else. But it's been great representing you for the last 4 years. They're wrapping up here fast, and now I look forward to the campaign that's been a strange year so far. We started. Minnesota was really rocking and rolling as far as the state went and the budget went and everything, and then we hit March of this year, and we kind of hit the roadblock, and things changed on us a lot, whether it was state government, our local governments, our schools, just our way of life. And so we're learning to do things totally different, and hopefully when we say we're going to get back to that normal, well, what will that new normal be? We don't exactly know, but we do think it's hopefully around the corner. And we will see that soon. Just like our youngsters that we see some around here, they're gearing up for a totally unknown school year. And the new superintendent, welcome to the area and to Detroit Lakes. And we had a little chance to visit front of the food wagon. And you talk about someone who's got a lot of unknowns in front of them. But we appreciate what you do. And hopefully it's a good year, and we have a successful year for all the kids. But, I was just going to touch on a few things, but I guess I probably set this up a little different than I thought we were going with the questions and such. So usually if it's a question and answer, I rather than for me to ramble on about what we've been doing in the legislature, I think we had a good number of years. We've got a couple of the current legislators in the back that have been there with me, and I think we're doing good things for Minnesota. But in the end, I'm more interested in what your questions will be, and it sounds like we may get a little bit of that here at the end. But at this point, I will just thank you all for coming and attending tonight, and pass this on. So thank you again.
Those of you who live in Senate District 4 are represented by Senator Kent Eakin, who is now coming forward. I will note that challenger Mark Larson was unable to be here, so we will now hear from Kent as soon as the microphone gets changed and he takes his mask off.
Hey, well, thank you. And I'm Ken Deacon, as Terry said, from Twin Valley. I live on a fourth generation family farm outside of Twin Valley, where Lori and I have been raising our 4 children. We have now just one left at home, who's going to be a sophomore this year. We have one going to college. We have one who's teaching high school down in Winona, Minnesota now, and high school science. And then we have one that's working here in Detroit Lakes at BTD Industries. So, I just want, and I'm in my second term now in the state Senate. And first of all, I want to thank the League of Women Voters for the wonderful work that you've done. And this is a wonderful day in history that needs to be recognized. And I'm a history teacher myself. I taught history for a number of years at the high school level. And Representative Marquardt is a history teacher right now. And so we understand the importance of history and understanding history. And not just to learn from the mistakes of the past, but also to learn what they did right in the past as well. I always emphasize that with my students as well, that we study history not just to learn about mistakes, but also to learn about the good things that were done. And this was one of the wonderful things that they accomplished back in 1920. In expanding the franchise, and that's been the story of America as far as expanding freedom, expanding equality, expanding opportunity for everybody. And the League of Women Voters has been a big part of that battle, that struggle, and in order to make sure that we truly are the land that we profess to be, the land of opportunity. So I want to thank you for what you're doing. And Becky Mitchell was up here earlier talking about the Becker County Museum, and that is a tremendously important project that we've been working on in the legislature to try to get funding for. Unfortunately, we did get funding for the project in the bonding bill, but we have not yet been able to get the bonding bill across that finish line. And I think that's very unfortunate. This was, after all, to be the bonding year. Unfortunately, there were some other things that happened, including the pandemic and also the killing of George Floyd and the fallout from that, and a lot of other crises that have been kind of sucking the oxygen out of the air for other issues. But the bonding bill still is the main purpose of this year. So we need to continue working on that. We're getting called into special session quite regularly, every month, every 30 days, because of the emergency powers issues. And so there will be another opportunity in September to try to get that funding and funding for other things like the Heartland Trail, college projects, also flood mitigation, transportation projects. There are a lot of important projects in this bill, and we need to continue making investments. Our state is facing some difficult times right now in terms of the budget, but even during budget deficits and difficult times in the budget, we still make investments in things that are critically important to our ability to prosper in the future. And that bonding bill is critically important for that purpose. So thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for everything you do.
Now we'll turn to the House. House District 2B, David Suby is here. His opponent, Steve Green, was not able to be here. David, if you'll come forward, please.
Thank you. Good evening, everybody. As was said, I'm running for the Minnesota House in District 2B. As many of you know, the White Earth Indian Reservation encompasses nearly half of the district. That area has really unique needs that I think need immediate attention. But the rest of the district is a huge district. The rest of the district also has basic fundamental needs. So here's what I think. I ran a concrete contracting business for 43 years. One thing I learned very early on was that you can't run a business without loyal, hardworking employees. To have loyal, hardworking employees, you have to pay them a living wage. A person earning a living wage feels that he has more respect and he feels valued. A person earning a living wage can get ahead and become a participating member of the community. As Paul Wellstone said, we all do better when we all do better. I want to know that when anybody's sick in our district, they have access to quality health care. You know, the over 27 million people have lost their health care during this pandemic. And I can tell you who hasn't lost their health care. It's those of us on Medicare. I really believe our goal has to be health care for everybody. Without healthy people and earning a living wage, you can't have a healthy economy. I also want the children in our district to be able to have equal access to a good education. You know, education really starts at birth, and the first 5 years are the most important in the development of the brain. We have a problem with access to safe and affordable childcare and pre-K in District 2B. If we invest in quality childcare and pre-K, for every dollar spent, there's a return of $7. That payback comes in students with less trouble, higher graduation rates, and more students going on to higher education. So earning a living wage, having access to quality health care and a good education just gives us all a sense of community. And it always will work down to having a better economy. I'm just going to quickly say that I've been voting for 50 years, and I truly believe this is the most important election in my lifetime. I think we're at the brink here, and we need to turn this around. Your vote is your voice, so please vote. Thank you.
Thank you, David. In House District 4B, the city of Detroit Lakes and a few townships are represented by Paul Marquardt, who is making his way forward. His opponent, Brian Anderson, was not able to be here. And I'll turn it over to Paul, and then if you have a question or two, we'll take them. But in the interest of time, we are going to keep moving. Paul.
Good evening, and thank you, Terry. Thank you to the League of Women Voters for holding this event on this historic day. I represent District 4B, which includes the Detroit Lakes area. And let me tell you what an honor and privilege it has been to represent Detroit Lakes and the surrounding area. And the nice thing and the great thing about it is meeting all the people from Detroit Lakes, whether or not you're involved in the community and on the city or the county or in a township, but there's always something going on here in Detroit Lakes. So it's just an honor to represent all of you folks. I was born into a farm family in rural Clay County a number of years ago. I won't say quite how many, but I've never lived more than 10 miles away from where I first lived south of Glendon, no more than 10 miles. And now I live in the city of Dilworth. And I've been married to my wife, Colleen, for 39 years. We have two children, Lindsay, who's married to Grant, and they have two children, Addison and Lincoln. And my other daughter, Ashley, who's married to Andrew, and she is literally expecting almost any minute. So, anyway, it's a third grandchild on the way. And what's really important, I think, to remember, and what I've tried to do in the years that I've been in the legislature, is to always put the constituents here first. Always putting what is best for the district. And I think when we look at some of the issues we're facing right now, certainly the top priority is dealing with COVID-19. And we have to make sure that we keep our people safe. We have to make sure we keep our businesses open as best we can, and we have to make sure we can get students into the classroom in a safe way. That's not going to be easy, but we certainly have to deal with that. Another top priority for me over the years and continuing is the most important service we provide residents is safety. That people feel safe in their homes, they feel safe in their neighborhood, and you do that by strongly supporting law enforcement. And one way in which we can strongly support law enforcement is continuing to fund local government aid and county program aid, which is really important. When you have cities and counties, a huge portion go to our law enforcement. We have to continue to support them day in and day out. We've got to get a bonding bill done. And Becky is here. She is, and folks in Becker County here have worked so hard on that. Becker County Museum, the Heartland Trail is another one we have to absolutely get done. So there's a lot of work yet we have to do. And the final thing I'd like to say is that, I love the door knock, but I'm not going to be door knocking this year because of COVID-19 and thinking about all the safety of others, but I still want to hear from you. So get a hold of me, please. I've got a website, paulmarquardt.com. Never hesitate to do that, but thank you for allowing me to serve you and for giving me the honor to serve you, and thank you so much.
Thank you, Paul. We're at the end of the legislative candidates. If there are one or two questions, I think what I'll ask you to do is stand, identify yourself. I'll repeat the question if you'll shout it out, and then we'll ask the candidates to just come to the microphone if you have a thought you want to share. Are there any questions? Bonnie, please identify yourself. Her question is about the police accountability bill that just passed. Go ahead. How would you address policy and service gaps specific to minority populations going forward? Mental health and substance abuse. Is there a candidate who wishes to speak to that? Mr. Roy and then Mr. Etke? We'll stick with alphabetical for a minute here. You can step to that microphone right there. You won't have to walk as far.
That's a great question. I can tell you at the local level, what we've done in White Earth is we've just adopted and passed a resolution for community wellness officers. These officers are designed to go out and meet with the community. Obviously, I represent a Native American community. Well, these community wellness officers are focused on the health aspects of the community instead of just regular policing. And so asking our officers to be everything, we've decided to specialize in those areas. And I think that's sort of that same logic should be used and applied in the state. Thank you.
Paul Etke.
Oh, and I don't know if I remember everything that you said, but the one thing I just wanted to add to that was, and Alan hit on a lot of that too with the local control, and that's exactly where a lot of our members and our thoughts is out here, we are not Minneapolis, St. Paul, but we have our things to deal with. But if anything, we would support our law enforcement to whatever level they would like. Most of our law enforcement area throughout our whole region is doing a terrific job. Now, if there's additional things that they can use, I know resources are always one of them, but we want that control still at the local level so that they can address what's important in each of their locales. Because you could go through all of our different counties. We got 87 counties across the state, but let's stay out with the rural. Let's stay with 75 or 80 of them outside the metro or our bigger cities. There's a lot of similarities, but yet there's differences. So most of it is just supporting them at the local level, getting them what they need for resources. Training, they've got a lot, but if they need some additional there to help. But any time that we try to legislate something from St. Paul and paint everything with this common brush, we usually get in trouble. We need to leave the control here and just support it.
Thank you. Any of the other candidates wish to briefly make a comment? And we'll ask that you be brief. Paul Marquardt.
So I don't know if I have to add much because I think I already alluded to this, but I think it is crucial, the local control, and we have to give law enforcement the tools and resources necessary to do the job. And one thing that we have in rural Minnesota, they don't have in a lot of bigger cities, is we know who our law enforcement officers are. We know them by name. And so I think when you allow police officers to do the work, give them the resources that they can do, they can get out into the community, that's when you're going to solve or be able to address that number one concern of keeping people and communities safe. Local control for officers.
Thank you very much. I have to give a quick shout out while he's changing the microphone to Kevin. I don't know in all the years Kevin and I have worked together that we've ever asked him to do so much. So thank you, Kevin, for keeping on top of all this. Senator Eakin.
Well, and I would like to reiterate too, the importance, I think, of local or regional control. I do think that we need more regional policies because what, is happening in Minneapolis isn't the same as what's happening out here. That's true. But I think that we need to augment our law enforcement with other services being provided outside of law enforcement for social services, for those who deal with those with mental health issues. We don't do enough in that regard. We really need to put more investment. And I've been talked to by a number of law enforcement officers who have said we need help with this. We are not mental health experts, and many of the people that they're dealing with are people who are experiencing those mental health issues. So we need to be providing more investments and services in the area of mental health. And I think that'll go a long way to helping ease some of the burdens that law enforcement is feeling. And I do think that law enforcement is being asked to do an awful lot more than what they should be. There should be more help coming from the outside of law enforcement to help them out with these things. And I don't think that the answer certainly isn't to defund police. I think I want to make that clear. I think that that some of the efforts that are being made to try to go after funding for police, I think will actually result in worse effects for our communities. If we want to make sure we've got top-notch law enforcement, we need to make sure we continue investing in them. And we do have top-notch law enforcement in this area. Thank you.
Thank you very much. With that, we're going to close out this section. I will invite the candidates to stick around after to visit with you to answer any questions they've got. We'll turn now to the Becker County Commission. There are 3 seats open in districts 3, 4, and 5. Our first speaker is John Okeson, representing District 3, and John's coming up now.
Good evening. I want to thank the League of Women Voters for inviting us to this event tonight. Just a little bit about myself. I'm a lifetime resident of Becker County. I was raised on a grain and dairy farm, Richwood and Holmesville townships. I was a graduate of Detroit Lakes High School, attended Morehead State for a while in business management. I've had 40 plus years experience with Becker County Highway Department. I've served on Lakeview Township Board for over 19 years. And I serve on Melissa Lake Association Executive Board. And I'm presently serving on Trinity Church here in Detroit Lakes Council. And again, presently, I'm still an instructor for University of Minnesota LTAP program, which I teach gravel road maintenance and design classes throughout Minnesota. I also have a small business where I do road maintenance, support and design for townships, counties, states. I've worked in about 8, 9 states in the United States on road issues. Excuse me, road issues, base stabilization projects. I've served Becker County for about the past 9+ years as a commissioner, and the last 7+ years as commissioner of District 3. And I want to thank the supporters and the voters for supporting me the past 7 years in District 3. Along with being county commissioner, I served 2 terms as county chair. And right now I serve on approximately 15 separate committees. Some of the larger ones, Highway Committee, Sheriff, Transit, Northwest Regional Juvenile Center Board out of Moorhead, Northwest Immunity Communication Board, which covers the whole northwest part of the state. And that's just to name a few of them. Some of the issues that we're going to be dealing with in the coming months and the coming year, as been mentioned before, is our CARES funding. Becker County received $4.2 million in money through the CARES fund. The state had recommended roughly using about 10%, and the county, Becker County decided to use 23%, which leaves about $1 million. Along with that, we're getting into the budgeting cycle where we have to set a minimum or maximum levy here in September and a final one in December. And hopefully we can working to keep that as a very flat, if any, levy increase in the coming year. Again, I'll thank the league and everybody for attending tonight. I'll stick around for a while. I'm supposed to be at another meeting at 7, so thank you.
Thank you, John. I would like to just announce that Terry Mackner is also running for District 3. He just returned from a trip, I think yesterday or the day before, throughout the western states with a stop in Sturgis. And he wisely declined our invitation, but I did want to just make you aware that he did have a good reason. He felt he should stay home, and we appreciate that. District 4, Don Scari is here, and Don is the incumbent. He'll speak next.
I'm going to have to lower this about a foot. My name is Don Scari, and I represent District 4 on the County Commission. I've done that for the last 10 years. And just a little bit about myself. I, too, am a lifelong resident. I grew up on a turkey farm north of Detroit Lakes. I retired from that business about 5 years ago. And after 43 years of doing it full time, it was indeed time. But my wife, Pam, stand up. We celebrated 51 years of marriage last Saturday. And I really think she needs an award for that. But anyway, I also have 6 children, 10 grandchildren. 2 of my daughters are also here. They teach school in Detroit Lakes. And, I just love this community. And I think that's why I decided to do this in the first place. I decided I need to give a little bit back. And I've been here a long time, and it was just time to do that. But, and I think I was pretty well prepared for it. I once quipped when I first got on that it was a really easy transition because I had worked with turkeys all my life. But actually, I did serve on several boards, township, among other things, and planning and zoning, so it all kind of helps. Working on a board it's a unique job, and you have, you can either have a collaborative board or a board that just doesn't get along. And the only way you get anything done is to collaborate. Now, you might not always get what you want, but I think we've been pretty good at coming together and getting things done over the past 10 years. And as far as some of the needs coming up, a lot of them aren't new. I think they've just been exacerbated by this COVID situation, but I do believe that there's a lot of mental health needs out there. A lot of people are under stress, a lot of our kids, a lot of our older people that can't leave their house. And also I think this daycare situation could get really serious if it's going to need some serious attention. And hopefully we can all do our job as far as what we need to do to get this COVID under control, because we need to get these schools going too. And that's really important. So those are just some of the needs. I mean, I think as far as the county goes, we just kind of have to keep, steering the ship in the right direction. There's things projects are probably a little bit on hold that we've been talking about, but I also kind of worry about some of our businesses getting through this winter. So it's going to be a lot of serious stuff coming up, and I just hope to keep helping. Thank you.
Thank you, Don. Don's challenger is Richard Varberg, who is coming up from the back right now. I will also make a quick note of thanks to Emma, who is Kevin Mitchell's daughter, and technical assistant. She's been helping him for the last couple of forums we've done. And Emma, you're always great to have around. Thanks for your willingness to pitch in and help. And with that, I'll turn it over to Richard.
Hello, my name is Richard Varberg. I've lived in Becker County since I was 8 years old. I grew up on a family farm just north of town here. I have a wife and two sons and one daughter. Sorry, I'm a little nervous, never done this before. But I have my own business. I've been in business for 25 years, and a lot of it has to do with the county. I install septic systems and do some excavation work. And so what I'm concerned with is that we are still able to use our property without getting an attorney. Our county is not too bad, but some of the surrounding counties, it's really hard to build a house or put in a septic system. Some of this stuff, a lot of people don't realize it until they go to do it. And it's getting worse and worse all around us. There are more rules, more restrictions, and they aren't changing anything. They're just costing a lot of money. And so what my goal would be as commissioner would be to make it easy to live here. And I'm also in support of law enforcement. And so in the times that we have now with unstable people everywhere around the country, luckily we don't have them here. It's important to me that our community is safe and our law enforcement looks out for us. So those are the things that are important to me. And there are a lot of other things, but that's really why I'm running for commissioner. Thank you.
Our final candidate in the county commission race represents District 5. Barry Nelson is running unopposed. He graciously said he didn't want to speak because once he started, you can't shut him up. So I said I'd give him 30 seconds and then I'm pulling the hook. So Barry, you got 30 and Deanna's timing you.
I'll have to speed talk. Thank you for everyone showing up, and thanks to League of Women Voters for putting this on. My name is Barry Nelson. I'm running for District 5 Commissioner. I'm married to Jamie Lindblad Nelson. We have 3 wonderful daughters, Tatum Jo, Kendra Jo, and Macy Jo. And we all go to the Lake Park Audubon School District, where my wife is the high school counselor. Just so happy to be representing Becker County, and we have such a wonderful place to live. I just want to continue making us a better place through, sorry, my stop sign. But thank you for coming. We have one of the best counties, in my opinion, in the state. So thank you.
Thank you, Barry. That was really nice of you. We're at the end of the county commission races, but I just checked my watch and it's 6:30 and we've got city council and school board. And I happen to know that someone who's speaking in the next group has another commitment coming up this evening. So if you don't mind, we're going to skip Q&A for the county commissioners and just roll on ahead into the city council. The guys will be around. You can certainly stop them, ask them questions. Just step outside the pavilion if you want to chat while we continue. And get ice cream. Deanna said to remind you, get ice cream. Okay, we're moving forward to the Detroit Lake City Council. The first spot up is the mayor's office. And Matt Brink is running for re-election. And Matt will make his way forward.
So Terry, I didn't read the fine print. I thought this was the candidate form and I had about a 3-page speech ready.
Talk fast.
Okay. I'll just introduce myself. I'm Matt Brink. I'm the incumbent mayor candidate for the city of Detroit Lakes. I'm married to my wife, Mary Brink. We have 5 grown children and 4 grandchildren. I also have another job. I'm the managing broker of the RE/MAX Lakes Region real estate company here in Detroit Lakes, and I'm a third owner of that with 2 other partners. I've been the mayor for 12 years. And prior to that, I was on the city council and served as the vice mayor, and I was on the city council for 18 years. So that's a long time, and I know you're surprised that somebody as young as me could serve that long, but I have. But I just love Detroit Lakes. It's a fantastic city, and I would love to continue to represent you as your mayor. And thank you for having me tonight. Thanks to the league. Thank you, Terry.
Matt started when he was 12. So I think that puts him at about 30 now. Thank you, Matt. He is being challenged this year by Paul Murray. And he's making his way up here. Go ahead, Emma. Thank you. Paul Murray.
I'd like to thank everyone for inviting me tonight. I am born and raised here in Detroit Lakes, and I love this community. So I'd just like to tell you a little bit about myself. I was, my past history, work history was I worked at Red Owl, started at age 14 and went all the way through until college, did 2 years of college. Then after college, I started at Menards. I was one of the first yard managers they had. They asked what I wanted to do because I had the cleanest yard in the company at that time. And I said I wanted to be a store manager, and they kind of laughed and said, you have to have education, more schooling. And I said, well, it's the Olympics. I want to have the gold. And about 2 weeks later, I had my own store. And I worked for Menards for 23 years. So I've been in management quite a few years. And also, I left DL and decided to go to Tucson, the sunny state, and start doing something different. So I became a painter / mechanic for St. Mary's Hospital. Then after that, I wanted to be the top maintenance crew, which was an engineer. And they said, you got to have schooling to be an engineer, to learn about boilers, chillers. And I said, I learned how to walk when I was 2. So why don't you give me a shot and I'll be the best engineer you got. And I became an engineer. So I was very thankful for that. So I just want to let you know I have a a son. He's 18 years old. I have a daughter that's 26, and I have two grandkids, and I'm very proud to run for mayor. I'd like to make DL strengthen the community. That's my motto. And I'm happy to be here tonight, and I'm thankful for everything. So thank you very much.
In the city council race, Ward 1, the incumbent Ron Zeman is here, and Ron is running unopposed. So I think he's going to follow the Barry Nelson school of thought. Not to put any pressure on him or anything, but come on up, Ron. Go ahead.
Well, Chair, if you don't mind, I have done some preparation for this, so I'm going to go ahead with my full talk here. But my name is Ron Zeman, and I'm seeking re-election for the Detroit Lakes City Council Ward 1 for my 5th term. I also have served on the Detroit Lakes as chairman for the Detroit Lakes Housing Authority, and I serve on the West Central Initiative Economic Committee. I do not have an opponent, but I do take my re-election not for granted. I have time to give back to the community, and I try to do the best at doing that. I have lived in Detroit Lakes for 51 years. My wife, Joan, and I have 3 daughters, Jennifer, Kelly, and Betsy, and we have 9 grandchildren. My wife passed away in the year 2013. We had 44 years of great marriage. I retired in 2012. I was a merchandise manager at Norby's department store for 42 years. I care about our city, and my goal is to keep our city a safe place to live, work, and do business. We need to have a city that is affordable for all of our citizens. We need to make sure that our local taxes are kept at a reasonable rate for home and business owners. We as a city need to focus on affordable housing, childcare, and the need to attract new businesses that do pay more than livable wage, and we also need great benefits. Our median family income in Detroit Lakes is $38,100. I like to see our local government aid restored to the level that we had 12 years ago when we would receive $1,100,000. For next year, for 2021, we're going to receive $530,000. Every LJ dollar that is taken back has to be put on the local payers. We need to restore our city as a retail hub for, and we are seeing too many empty storefronts, and when you have too many empty storefronts, you lose your tax base. The bonding bill is also very important for Detroit Lakes. We've got many state representatives and senators here tonight, but we need your support in making sure those things happen. I know there's gridlock, but let's not forget that you got people that you're representing, and every city has something in there. And if you can put your differences aside, think about the people that you're representing and get that bonding bill passed. The state has done a great job at helping us with dollars too. We've got a beautiful sewer and wastewater treatment plant here, and we have Senator Eek and Representative Marquardt who've gone to bat for us for quite a few years to get that for us. And we were fortunate to have their help. That wouldn't have happened, I don't think, without their help with us. But I would answer questions afterwards. And like I said, I'm glad that I'm part of the Detroit Lake City Council. Thank you.
That's a guy who timed his remarks perfectly. Thank you, Ron. Our next candidate does not have an opponent. She's not running for an open seat, which gets a little complicated. She's running in Ward 2 for the seat currently held by Jamie Marks Erickson, who is also running in Ward 2, but Jamie is running, and you'll hear from Jamie in a minute. Jamie's running for the 2-year seat. Candidate Wendy Spry, who will make her way up here in a second, is running for the 4-year seat in Ward 2. Wendy?
Thank you, Terry. Can you hear me? So this is a meet and greet, and I'm going to do my best to tell you a little bit about who I am. My name is Wendy Spry. I was raised and grew up in a little east of White Earth, Minnesota, until I graduated high school and left the area for college. Came back to the area, got married, and moved to Detroit Lake in 1992. I have, okay, so I'm a little nervous. So I went away to college. I have a degree in criminal justice. I have worked for the Minnesota Department of Corrections for the last 25 years. The first 20 years in the field, a piece of that was as a department head for the juvenile probation department here at the county. In the last 5 years, I have been training field agents and case managers in the prisons in evidence-based practices. Due to some budget difficulties with the Department of Corrections, that position was recently eliminated. And for the last week, I've been back in the saddle, out in the field, supervising offenders who've recently been released from prison. As I said, we moved here in 1992. Here I raised 3 amazing children, and this community has just really been such a welcoming place for me, and I just feel really fortunate that my kids have been raised here. So why am I running? I was thinking about this, and a couple of years ago, I spoke to the Detroit Lakes High School inductees to the National Honor Society, and my message to them was, say yes to service, because I think it's just so important to do our part. And so when I was encouraged to run for this, those words came back to haunt me, and I thought, yep, this is something I've always wanted to do. My mother was involved in town council in White Earth. I have an aunt who's very involved in her city, so it's kind of in our blood. We like to serve and understand the importance of that. What do I have to offer? I'm a good listener. I think I look at government as an honor and a privilege that we are the voice for people in our communities, and I hope to be that person in our ward too. I'm looking forward to being involved in that. I want to be an informed person. I want to make considered and fiscally responsible decisions on behalf of the people in my ward. And I'm very much looking forward to this experience, and I will do my best. Thank you.
The other Ward 2 seat, as I mentioned, is Jamie Marks Erickson. Jamie?
Good evening, and thanks to everyone for being here. I've been on the Detroit Lake City Council for 12 years, and I'm running now for a final 2-year term. I think our job in the next 2 years is, as sorry about that. I'll start over. I've been on the council for 12 years, and I'm running for a final 2-year term. I think our job kind of going forward in the next 2 years is probably pretty obvious to all of you, and that is to really support our community through a recession and a pandemic. And I want to thank Senator Eakin and Representative Marquardt and Mayor Brink and the County Commission for everything that they've done, and also encourage the school board, the new administrator coming in. It's a big job. It's a big job that's being done. Also, the chamber and many others, Beth Priday, who is here, really helped people in the initial days of the pandemic. The other thing I think I would like to do, or I think the other thing that we're going to have to respond to, is kind of the issues involving policing, and we know that. Already the city have rolled out a diversion program to help people with mental health and addiction issues who are really getting pushed into the system that way, to try to kind of divert that to programs that serve them better. Beyond those things, I think for me personally, I'd like to advocate more at the state and federal level if I'm needed. I would like to support new council members coming in and to look for kind of the next generation of council members by finding people to serve on our many citizen committees. If you know of someone or you yourself would like to serve, please let me know. I also want to echo something that Senator Marquardt said. which is that I probably will not be door knocking this year because of the pandemic. But our city emails are on the website. Please call the city office and you will be able to get a hold of me. So I think with that, I will conclude and thank you again very much.
Jamie is challenged by Rick Johnson, who is not here tonight. Moving on to the third ward, Aaron Colby will be the first speaker. He is challenging Dan Josephson, who will speak after Aaron. Aaron, go ahead.
Hello, my name is Aaron Colby, and I'll be running for the City Council Ward 3. I'm a graduate of Detroit Lakes High School and also the Moorhead Tech, where I went to culinary and automotive technician program. Now I'm living in my hometown of Detroit Lakes with my lovely wife and son who are running around somewhere over here. And then I guess I've decided I wanted to start running for City Council because I just want to be more of a part of the city and just try to get a better role in our community since we're living here in Detroit Lakes again. I feel like I have a lot of leadership skills because I'm still actually working at my very first job I ever had, which is Zorba's, and I started in 2006, and I'm still working there today as a kitchen manager. And I just feel like I have a lot of dedication to Detroit Lakes, and I just want to keep this town great, and I just love being here, and thanks for having me.
Dan Josephson currently represents Ward 3, and Dan will be here in about 1 second. If you'll remember to speak right into the microphone. Thank you.
Thank you for having me tonight. My name is Dan Josephson. I want to recognize the women who fought for the right to vote 100 years ago. I'm very proud of that. I think I started coming to a League of Women Voters meeting, I think probably, well, I'm 40, I will be 42, so I'm guessing about 45 to 50 years ago I started coming to League of Women Voters meetings actively in person, about 40, probably 2 in a couple days. But no, it's in all seriousness, it is an important day for women and the right to vote. A little bit about myself. I am originally from Detroit Lakes, like everybody, or most everybody has been coming up to this point. I grew up here, I went off to college, and I moved back to Detroit Lakes. And I worked for Herzog Roofing for about 15 years, partially during college, and then afterwards as a estimator project manager. During that time, since I got my teaching degree, I didn't actually teach. I decided I'd become a coach. So I am your Nordic ski coach at the Detroit Lakes High School. I wish I could have met you a little bit earlier, but since COVID, we can't really do that. While being involved in coaching and just growing up here, I was part of the park board for 12 years. And at that point, I started getting a little bit more involved in city politics. I first ran for city council about 4 years ago starting, and I'm just finishing up my first term. So that's why I'm looking for re-election. We aren't quite done with where I think we need to be. Some of the issues that I see as coming up here are the finishing out the development of the Westlake Drive area. We've got to continue on looking at development and zoning issues, whether it's trying to find a place for our multifamily buildings, because we always are hearing places where we can't put stuff. I want to look at places where we should and can put things. And through the city council, we have that ability to address where we can put things. With that, it's also, like Ron alluded to, the LGA cuts that we've seen. We need to be fiscally responsible for making up for those LGA cuts while maintaining and building new infrastructure. We've kicked the can down the road for long enough, and we need to maintain our streets and our buildings while looking towards the future. So doing so in a fiscally responsible way is the way I would like to see the city go. So I would appreciate your support and thank the League of Women Voters for everything that you do.
Our final candidate in the city council category is Aaron Dahlman. Aaron is running for an open seat as the at-large council representative to fill the spot being vacated by Bruce Imholt. Aaron. And he is running unopposed.
Thank you for having me here. Again, my name is Aaron Dahlman. Little strange story about me is basically when I was in 4th grade, we came up here for a week family vacation, and my dad was in the grocery business, and there was a store manager position opening here, and it didn't take hardly any resistance at all for us to move back up here. I love this community. Our lakes are some of our biggest assets that we have around here. I'm fortunate to live on this lake. I lived on Detroit Lake before also. This is a great area, great place to raise a family. I've been married for 26 years to my lovely wife, Amy. She's standing back there. People call her a saint, but don't let that scare you away. I have 2 daughters, Chloe Savig Dahlman, and she's actually going to be a grandparent here in December to a baby girl, if the ultrasound is correct. I have another daughter, Brielle, who's a sophomore in high school. I'm fortunate to have both of my daughters go to school in Detroit Lakes. I think we have great schools, great teachers. I served in the Army Reserve for 6 years as a combat engineer. I believe in teamwork. That's what I learned from the Army. I went to Moorhead Tech. I graduated in sales, marketing, and management. I've pretty much been in sales my whole life. I'm running for city council. I'm not trying to shake things up. I just want to be a voice. I want the best for this community. I want the best for this city. Even though I'm running unopposed, I still would appreciate your vote. Thank you.
This is where the technology gets interesting. And I just have been assured that we actually have one of our school board candidates waiting in the wings. So we're going to just keep moving forward. The Detroit Lake School Board has 3 seats. Our first speaker is Amy Erickson, who is running for re-election.
For our kids to get an education in the United States. Little did I know that I would end up on the PTO, then the PTO president, which would lead to being on the school board. I was also involved in all 4 bond referendum efforts. The 3 first ones, of course, did not pass, but the 4th one did. And that kind of leads me to what I wanted to speak to tonight, which is that when I was elected to the board, I was elected at the same time as John Steffel. And I told John that I would talk about him tonight as well, because John is a farmer, and you know what you do when the sun shines, he's out making hay. So he and I, when we started on the board together, could not agree that the sky was blue or clouds were white or grass was green. And we just really struggled when we first started. So one day I called him up and said, why don't you just come to my house and I'm going to bake you a coffee cake. And we're just going to sit and we're going to talk this stuff through, and we're going to figure out a way we don't have to agree, but we're going to figure out a way to compromise. And we've been able to do that ever since. So even though you probably couldn't find 2 people with different opinions, or more different opinions than John and I have, we have been able to compromise over these years and get a lot of really great things done in our district. So I would ask for your vote that for both of us, we would very much like to be reelected. And I know there's a lot of great candidates, but we feel like we've still got some work to do. And I just want to say that I think this is one of the best school districts in the country. We really have the most phenomenal teachers, staff, administrators across the board. We are so fortunate to have what we have here in Detroit Lakes, and I am excited to be a part of it now and hope to be a part of it in the future. Thank you.
As Amy mentioned, John Steffel is actually not making hay today. He's harvesting his wheat fields, which I can appreciate because I'm the daughter of wheat farmers. So I think we all can give John a pass on that. Candidate Gary Kosen was not able to be here. Our next speaker is Courtney Henderson. Courtney will be coming to us via Zoom because Kevin tells me she's waiting in the wings. So I'll let Kevin take over from here.
Hello, everyone. My name is Courtney Henderson, and I'm so excited to get a few minutes to introduce myself to all of you and share why I wanted to run for the Detroit Lakes School Board. Some of you know me. I taught in Detroit Lakes as a 7th grade life and 8th grade earth and environmental science teacher for 23 years. I was one of those really lucky. I also had my 3 daughters attend school in the same district, and my husband, Mark, as my sidekick, teaching science to 8th graders just 2 doors down from me. However, with my amazing, inspiring husband's passing in 2018, I taught 1 more year and earned my K-12 principal licensure at the same time. A year ago, I accepted a position with Regional Centers of Excellence, working with the Minnesota Department of Education, based out of Lake Country Service Cooperative in Fergus Falls. Yes, I'm still in education and work with schools that are underperforming based on ESSA, the Every Student Succeeds Act. This position enables me to coach principals, leadership teams, and staff as we work through stages of implementation and implementation science, utilizing data and promoting equitable policies, practices, and procedures for school improvement. I chose to run for the school board for 2 main reasons. The first is that teaching in Detroit Lakes was something that I loved, and the district was really good to myself, my husband, and my girls. I cannot say enough positives about my colleagues and the great many accomplishments along the 20+ years. The second reason I'm running is definitely for the students. I want to help give voice to the students and families that don't always get heard. It's time for me to give back. The mission of the Detroit Lakes Public Schools is to nurture and develop the full potential of all learners in an environment where lifelong learning is valued, excellence is expected, and improvement is continuous. When thinking about this mission of our school district and keeping the focus on the students, there are a few things that come to the forefront for me. These are things that I really value and stand for and will bring to the school board team. In every decision, there are 3 main ideals that I will bring to the table. First, I will be the voice that reminds us to put students and equitable practices at our center. This means putting students' needs first, considering and removing what may be potential barriers to all students and their learning. Second, includes utilizing data to drive and inform change for all school improvement. For every decision made, there should be data to support the direction taken in order to both positively impact student learning and the development of staff in our district. And finally, I'd like to work on building relationships to meaningfully engage and communicate with all stakeholders. We need to think out of the box and give voice to all students, families, and anyone who is feeling marginalized. Detroit Lakes is our community, and our decisions as a school district need to reflect the diverse community that we are all a part of. Detroit Lakes has been a great place to live and educate our kids. I have been thrilled to have been a part of that, and I'm looking forward to continuing to work for our district and the people of Detroit Lakes as your school board member. Sails up.
Thank you, Courtney, for being our first ever Zoom candidate. I'm so glad that that worked and you were able to join us. Our next speaker for one of the 3 open spots on the school board is Ron Sprofka. And Ron, I know he's here, there he is. Come on up, Ron.
Well, good evening. Thank you for all being here. Thank you, League of Women Voters, for putting this on. It is a great event. Fun to hear people's different ideas and what they're running for, what they believe in. A little bit about me. I'm, I guess, fourth generation born and raised in this town growing up. I graduated class of 97, arguably the greatest class to ever come through this district. Just saying. Dan would agree with me. And I appreciated as I spent some time away from town, traveling, doing other things. And as I've come back and through my travels and just meeting and learning and talking to other people, I realized just how really, really great this school district is and how well I was taught and my peers were taught, and that continues, and it has been amazing. And I just want to be part of that. I want to contribute to it. I mean, I think the board the last 4 years or more has been fantastic. I think they've been working really great under the current board and working well together. And I kind of got to see some of the sausage being made. I worked with Amy and John and the school board members on this previous referendum 2 years ago, and it was a real labor of love, and it wasn't entirely me by any means. They did the hard work of figuring this whole thing out. I just had to help go sell it. And I had a great partner with that, Jackie Buboltz, and so we saw it happen. And I was so excited to see that succeed and being able to equip this district and equip these teachers and give something for these kids and my own kids. I've been married for 7 years now. My wife Stephanie's here, and 2 of our kids, our oldest is at diving practice. So I'm invested in this district. I personally invested in what goes on here, and I want to be able to contribute in any way that I can. I don't think I have mind-bending ideas or earth-shaking things that I'm going to want to do or implement, but I think with more eyes, you can always have different perspectives and come up with new ideas or new ways to do things. Who knows? So that's kind of me in a nutshell and why I want to do this. I love this town. I love the school, I guess, like most of the other people in this area. So thank you very much. Have a great evening.
Our final candidate for school board is Ethan Walls. Ethan is unable to be here tonight. He asked that I read the following statement. My name is Ethan Walls. Let me start by saying I'm very disappointed that I could not join you in person this evening. Due to unforeseen circumstances, I'm unable to attend. However, that does not change the fact of how honored and grateful I am for the opportunity to run for such an important and fulfilling role of school board member for Detroit Lakes Public Schools. I was born, raised, and attended school in Detroit Lakes. I've got many great memories in this town, most of which took place within Detroit Lakes Public Schools and around the area. I was involved in extracurricular activities during my time in high school, such as the Detroit Lakes Concert Choir and Detroit Lakes FFA chapter. While in FFA, I held several offices, chapter treasurer, president, and also regional vice president. I've currently taken a 1-year term as Detroit Lakes FFA alumni president. During my time in FFA, I've become well-versed in putting together reports, agendas, and also learning how to run meetings using parliamentary procedure. I believe that is a great skill to possess while running for a school board position. While in high school, I participated in the school's internship program. My senior year, I took an internship with Olander Bus Service, one of our contractors for the schools. The internship focused primarily on special education students and how to anticipate and address their needs. This internship has since blessed me with a full-time position with Olander Bus Service, working on recruitment, training new staff, and also driving a regular school bus route throughout the school year. Those experiences and opportunities opened my eyes to how much work goes into giving our kids an excellent education, and has also brought a realization of how fulfilling it is to be part of our children's education. This is where my love and passion for education began and where it continues to grow. This background has inspired me to begin my journey as a candidate for Detroit Lakes School Board. If I were to be elected to office, I would work on growing opportunities for our students in relation to post-secondary options and also dedicating my time to ensure our school maintains a good financial standing. I believe that our number one goal should always be to look out for the best interest of our students. That is why, as a board member, I would look to work with our community partners and supporters to grow our academy program for high school students. This program is already off to an excellent start by being implemented with the freshman classes. I would like to see it continue to grow even further to fulfill our ultimate goal as educators. That being to prepare our students for whatever future paths they choose to pursue. I would also like to ensure that our financial stability maintains and flourishes going forward. I would aim to accomplish this by regularly monitoring the budget and expenditures. I could guarantee collaborating with the appropriate staff to ensure any changes that needed to be made would be done so correctly, efficiently, and at the end of the day, benefit the students of Detroit Lakes Public Schools. In closing, this opportunity does not come around often. Being only 20 years old, I know it could prove difficult. What I would like to leave you with is that I will do the best work I can do for our students, parents, and staff by offering a young listening ear to our concerned community. I'll implement my knowledge of budgeting, be an active participant in school board meetings and committee work, and also be the voice for this great community that has made me the man I am today. Once again, thank you all for being here this evening, and I hope to meet you soon. Sails up. Sincerely, Ethan Walls. That is our final candidate. Thank you all for your patience and letting us get through all of these introductions. They are all have been recorded. They will be posted online. The candidates will get the links. They're free to use them however they would choose to. I have a couple things to say about voting. No surprise, I'm sure. In a minute, Maria Sauer, who is our high school student working as a league member, will talk about voter registration work, particularly youth voter registration coming up. But I would like to tell you this. Please vote. Please register to vote if you have not done so. If you've already registered to vote, have you gone online to check at mnvotes.org, which is the Secretary of State's website, to make sure your address is correct? If you've had a name change, gotten married, moved, are your records up to date? I went in and it took me under 2 minutes to request an absentee ballot. I did it for the primary. That automatically gets me a ballot for the general election. Voting starts less than a month from today. It starts on September 18th for the November 3rd general election. Mail-in ballots, all the absentee ballots, and they are the same thing, by the way. Mail-in voting is absentee voting and vice versa. Those get mailed out right about the time voting starts. I strongly encourage you not to wait. With all that's going on and concerns about the mail, please don't hesitate to request it now so that you're assured of having plenty of time at home to think about who you're voting for. You can go online, research candidates, check out these videos again to remember who said what. You can do it. You can do it from your pontoon. You can do it from the bathtub. You can vote however and wherever it's most convenient for you. The second way you can vote is to go up to the courthouse, again, starting September 18th, second floor, early absentee voting in person. You go, you request a ballot, you can fill it out right there, turn it into the voting machine, you're done. I know someone who I think is still here who said, I'm doing it right on September 18th. I just want to be done. And that's great. The third way, of course, is you can show up on election day. It takes 30,000 people to run an election in Minnesota. 30,000 election judges. Who typically are election judges? The people who are at risk, the older people, retired folks. Think about the lines on election day. I remember at election day that it snowed. If you want, with social distancing, think how long the lines could be if you wait. Because you'll be standing 6 feet apart, which in a lot of cases puts you outside because there are limits on the numbers of people in a room. So my message is this: get ready to vote. Have a plan to vote. Have a plan to invite a neighbor, a family member, a young person to join you. We have information on voting. We have bumper stickers and information for first-time voters on the table right around the corner. And I would like to encourage you all to also get involved in League. We have a great program every month. We've been doing a lot of them on Zoom. You're more than welcome to check us out. You're also welcome to join, including men. I'm now going to ask Maria Sauer to come up. She will be our final speaker. She's going to talk about the youth vote. And as Maria makes her way up here, I'm going to thank everybody. Fork in the Road, our friends who own La Barista Coffee Shop, Brooke and Courtney Wenzel, provided the food for tonight. They always do a great job for us. We're grateful. The ice cream truck and Beth Priday for the treats, for all of the sanitizing measures we took. Kevin and Emma Mitchell for being our tech wizards, our members and volunteers, the city for this gorgeous park, which needs better signage. That's my plea, and they all know it because I spent 30 minutes the other day looking for it. I'd like to thank all of you candidates. And again, feel free to stick around afterward. Please stay tuned for more information on candidate forums. And now I'll turn it over to Maria Sauer to talk youth voting. Thanks, Maria.
Hi, my name is Maria Sauer, and I'm currently a senior at DLHS. And here's our plan for getting more youths, AKA Gen Z and millennials, to register to vote and be active in, be like politically active and everything. So you guys probably get your information from the news and Facebook and everything like that. My generation, not so much. We get our information from Instagram, Twitter, so I'm planning on creating an Instagram account for the League of Women Voters and just giving out information, and also a Twitter account just so that you can get information. You can see when you're supposed to vote, when you're supposed to register, stuff like that. And we will also be creating a Twitter page for the same information, like where you can vote, how you can vote, see if you're registered, stuff like that. And then we will also be emailing schools and everything, seeing if we can get links on the websites or like the school websites so that you can vote and you like know where to vote and everything. And we haven't planned anything for in-school like voting or anything just because we don't know what will happen yet. I know DLHS is planning on the 25th. LPA might be doing it on the 21st. And so we just don't know what's happening in person yet, but we will start doing the Twitter, Instagram, and then other websiting stuff. Yeah, so thank you. And if anyone would like to help, you can always come up to me after the meeting and say you want to participate or anything, and I will get you all set up in order to participate. Thank you.
Thank you, Maria. It's fun to have a high school student who's so enthused about the work that we're doing. She's an inspiration for my younger self, who wishes she was more like Maria. But nonetheless, thank you all for coming. This has been a lovely evening. I hope you enjoyed Long Lake Park. I hope you enjoyed getting a chance to know the candidates and their families, including the little ones in the back who are having way too much fun. Please remember to vote, and please remember to bring another person to vote with you. Thank you all so much. Have a great evening.